Sure. What a weekend. What a weekend. Winding down on Sunday night once again. Here with Werner today. We don't know who's going to be joining us. It's going to be one of those situations where people just pop on. They join us when they are available. Good to see your face here, Werner, back again with us. Yeah, I don't know.
Thanks.
I don't know really what to talk about. I mean, we joined some of the Olympics this weekend. I really thought that we were going to get some uh, luck with regards to the 100-meter sprints.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ultimately, welcome Aditya. We just started the conversation now. But some excellent things we saw this weekend with regards to like the long jump. The world record was set when the females in long jump. The high jump, we saw two gold medalists, which is incredible to see that.
Love the passion from the Italian guy.
Yeah, and then an Italian wins the 100-meter sprint, which is crazy. Like, you don't think that. What a year for the Italians, winning the Euros, winning that. I mean, the Boca coming to the party again. So happy about that one. Rassi, what a guy. To take the pressure. This is like some people. My friend actually said. My friend Ikson. He told me that, and I hope he's gonna message me to say, yeah, you gave me to tell me that I gave him a shout out this time on the show. But he said a message in one of our groups, and he said, what makes Rassi brilliant is he saw something on Twitter where someone said that it's almost Mourinho-esque, the way that Rassi kind of took the pressure off his players and took all the blame and took all the attention off the guys. So there was nobody obviously criticizing the players that performed poorly in the first test. All the talk was about Rassi Erasmus and his feud and the way he was thinking about the refs, and he put all the pressure back on the refs again, which was an excellent masterclass that people don't realize. I mean, even the fact that he bent the rules to be water boy. I mean, that
Yeah.
was to find the discrepancy. It's something we would like to see that from our Proteus coach too. Or Jesus, Werner.
Yeah. Not exactly sure what Boucher's gonna do. Run up water all the time. But yeah. No, but yeah, I love Rassi. I love Rassi the cricket player as well, but I love our Springbok coach. Oh well. It's not technically the Springbok coach, but we all know how it goes behind the scenes. He's still sort of in charge, so
Yeah, you know what made me funny, or made me laugh, sorry. And when I'm thinking about death bowlers now, the word death comes into mind, man. And the reason why I'm thinking of this is because, and the Olympics, it also got a lot to do with that. Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg, I don't know if you saw this, it's been going viral on social medias, etc. They are doing like this analysis of the Olympics, like their own little clips of like the Olympics in their own funny, unique way. We've got a special guest with us, guys. We've got Luvabalo's back. Yes. I'll just continue the conversation before he comes on. But yeah, what reminded me of this is because Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg were talking about the Olympics, and they were like giving their analysis of it. And they said, you know, the Olympic Games is like you can put any word in front of a sport and it's a different sport. So, for example, you take basketball and you say 3x3 basketball. Then you take volleyball and you put beach in front of it. Now it's beach volleyball. So you said you take the word tennis and you put table in front of it. Now it's table tennis. So they tried to make it a little bit more funny. So Kevin Hart was like, no, it's almost like you say. They would try to like make it like American black in a way, and they said it's like you're taking a mountain bike and you say you put a dew in front of it and it's Mountain Dew biking. And then they said, oh, that's great sponsorship. And then he went with these like it's almost like you can say dice. Like he said, if you put dice in front of the word, it's you can also make like throwing the dice as well. He said something about that. I can't remember the joke exactly, but then he said about the um, he said about body lifting, and then he said if you put dead in front of it, it's dead body lifting. So he's like, they were like, what? What are you trying to say? He's like, maybe I was a bit offside there, but small little things like that made me think about that. I thought I had to like obviously speak about that. But yeah, let's go into today's topic. I don't want to go too much off it. First of all, Lubabalo, welcome back. What have you been up to? It's been a long time since we last saw you.
Hi guys, I'm good. Thanks. How are you? Yeah, it's been a while. Ish, things are tough out there. I'm glad to be
Sure.
back on the show again.
Yeah, not me too, man. Aren't you happy to see this man?
Absolutely. He's obviously been quite active on social media, and he knows I drop in a comment every now and then. But yeah, always love Coach Lupa's insight.
Yeah. And not only, I like the little, not I wouldn't call it a feud, but the little friendly feud that you have with a buy there, man. That's a lot of fun. Excellent. Okay, guys. So today's topic, the reason why I chose it is I I'm testing a couple of things now on social media with regards to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, where we're going to give you some different types of comments, different type of experiences and content on our social media platforms. I don't know if you guys saw today, but Mikey Copeland sent us a couple of videos that we put on Instagram and on Twitter, on what's it, TikTok. Guys, look, I'm not a TikToker here, but I'm trying to promote our stuff there on TikTok. So guys, you can go follow us there too for some little clips there. Lubabala's going to do some dance videos for us. He said already. He put he's got his own cricket dance there for that WAP song that he can do for us. But basically, what I try to do is I posed a question on Facebook, which I'm probably going to do a lot more myself and a teacher. And any of you guys can just let us know in the group as well if you have any questions. But I posed a question, and I'm sure Werner saw it because he's very active also on our Facebook page, and I know Lubabalo saw it because he commented. So I basically posed a question today, and I said, if you had one South African bowler that could save your life, ultimately in the last over, defending whether it's future, present, or past, and he saves your life by defending 12 of the last 6, who would it be? Now, this particular post got 264 comments on Facebook. And so people were very, very active in giving who they thought. So it's obviously going to work, this idea, hopefully. I'll just read you some of the guys that they popped up on this particular last, say, 20 of them or last 10 of them. Someone said Clive Rice. Someone said Pollock. Another person said Clive Rice. Another one said Mary Pringle, Richard Snell, Hansi Cronje even popped up. Donald McKay also popped up. Fanny de Villiers, Alan Curry. Okay, some of these players I don't even know, I've never heard of. Lance Klusner, he popped up over here. If I go a little further, a lot of the guys are from the past. White Lightning, which is Alan Donald. Someone said Pechlekwayo, Big Macmillan, Sean Pollock. I saw quite a few for Pollock on Twitter as well. A lot of people put Pollock into the mix. If I'm thinking about currently, I don't see any names over here in the last half. But I'm just reading some of them out to you. Someone said Ronaldo. So that just shows the state of our cricket. If someone says Ronaldo, unless they're thinking of Ronaldo Mayer. So I don't know if they're talking about him, maybe. Omar Henry and Pat Simcox, someone laughed about that one. So I'm thinking that someone's obviously pulling our legs, and someone said Paul Harris. So they must be pulling our leg over there with regards to that, because I don't think he's ever pulled it to death. Let me go up further. I'm just trying to see if there's anything over here. Imran Tahir was mentioned, Vernon Philander, Shamsi. So yeah, we can hear some of the names that were mentioned. Sean Langeveld is my pick, if I had to pick one. So let's just start over there. Let's go around the room over here and talk about who you would pick if you had to choose a South African. Let's start with you, Aditya, then go Lobabalo, and then Werner.
So I'm actually going to pick two. It's going to be Charles Langeveld and Carl Abbott. They'd be my two death bowlers.
And what is it about him that really stood out to you about him?
With Charles Langeveld, I think he had exceptional control over the old ball, and obviously he played in the era before two new balls were introduced. So I think with with a ball that was easier to grip, I think he'd be even more dangerous. And he used the crease extremely well. If you look at that game between India and South Africa in Gwalior 2010, when Sachin Tendulkar made 200, it wasn't a great day for South African bowlers. But Charles Langeville, you look at the way Charles Langeville used the crease from closer to the stumps to as wide as possible. He was brilliant, and he executed wide Yorker as well. He was good with the in-swinging Yorker, and he had a great deal of versatility, which I thought is useful. It's a useful attribute for a death bowler. Kyle Abbott, again, wicket to wicket, extremely dangerous. He can really land the ball where he wants to, and I thought in that 2015 World Cup he was outstanding. So I'm a huge fan, and I think these two, in my mind, would be South Africa's sort of premier death bowlers.
Lubalo?
To be honest, it's a bit of a tough one. I don't think we've necessarily been blessed with great death bowlers in our cricket, honestly speaking. Hence I said that I'd pay my life insurance. But okay, if I had to really choose, I'd go for Langes as well, as AD has opted for him, and then I'd go for someone who's never played for the Proteas, Malusi Sivoto. Having followed him and having watched him, he's a really good death bowler, very smart. He's like, for me, it was actually tough to choose between him and Sisanda Magala. I know a lot of people will probably be complaining how I'm choosing Sisanda after how things went on against Pakistan and stuff, but it was just a few matches. Anyone who's followed domestic cricket knows how good he is. So for me, it was between him and Malusi, but I'll go for Malusi Sivoto because he can nail that Yorker. He can also play around with his pace, which is something I feel comes in handy bowling at the death. So for me, it's those two guys. It's Langes, the bowling coach, and Malusi Sivoto.
Mm-hmm. And I think Soboto is someone actually that I can see in coaching one day. I can actually see him in a coaching role as a bowling coach. I think that's maybe something you should maybe do because especially the way he's adapted to all formats, 4-day cricket as well. He does a very good job of stemming the runs in 4-day cricket. So yeah, I mean, I know it's maybe a little easier in 4-day cricket because you don't have the batsman with the same attacking mindset trying to hit you after every ball. But still, there's still a lot of control that he's shown over there. Werner, what would yours be?
I'd also have Charles Langeveld first. Can't forget that innings against West Indies where he took 4 and 4 balls to win the game out of nowhere. And he used to be a very good Yorker bowler. And as Aditya said, with the only one ball that was being used previously, he was very good at getting that reverse swinging Yorker going at the back end. I kind of miss that only playing with one ball. It brought the bowlers a lot more into it, getting that ball to reverse, the older ball being harder to hit as well. I can understand why they brought in the second new ball because they want a faster paced game. They want to see more boundaries and sixes for the fans. And then the second guy, I was also looking at the comments on Facebook and no one mentioned this guy, so I thought I'd throw him in. There was Rassie Tron, who was also very good with bowling Yorkers. That short run up, the skiddy action, he was just darting it into that stumps all the time. So I quite enjoyed his death bowling as well. So that's another guy I would throw out there.
So Luba, is this something that you think people can learn from a young age? And when it comes to bowlers, because I feel that bowlers are a little different to batsmen when it comes to the growth spurts. When you have that growth spurt, your bowling can change completely from when you were a kid. Whereas in batting, even though you grow, you can kind of see a better transition, an easier transition with batting through age groups than when it comes to bowling. So when you're teaching kids this and bowlers this, do you feel that this is something that comes naturally to an extent with talent, or do you think that it can be coached and taught?
Well, obviously, there's players that are going to be exceptions every now and then. Players whom where it comes naturally, but it's something that can be taught. But it's only the skill that you can teach. But the temperament and the mindset is something that comes with age, I think sometimes. Then with some players, it's something that's natural because bowling of the death, you can have the skill, but if you don't have the right mindset to do it, you might be found wanting because it could go great today and then tomorrow it suddenly goes badly. You still need to try and recover from that. If you don't have the right mindset to recover from the last match, then the next match could go even worse. So as much as we can coach as coaches, we can coach the skill. Definitely slower balls can be coached. Bowling yorkers can be coached as well. But I don't think we can necessarily coach the right mindset. For example, a guy like Mitch Stark, he has the same mindset throughout his bowling. He doesn't care whether you're Brandon McCullum facing. If he wants to bowl full and straight, he's going to go full and straight. He knows that he might travel, but he also knows that if he doesn't travel, the batsman's going to walk. I remember watching him bowling to Brandon McCullum in the World Cup. Brandon had his same mindset that, hey, I'm going to go for it. Midstock didn't say, well, I'm bowling to Brandon McCullum. Let me just be a bit defensive. No, he went for it. He bowled his natural line and length, and well, Brandon failed to score runs on the day. So it's all a mindset. It's all a thing of backing yourself, backing your skill. Because it's one thing having a skill and being good at it, but it's another thing being able to back yourself and when it comes to executing the skill. And there's also you need to understand that a couple of times it's not gonna click, and that's how it's always gonna be. You need to be able to recover from that. I think a lot of our bowlers struggle with that. You find that he's gonna bowl well at the death in one match, and then once he bowls badly in another match, he's gonna bowl badly for the next two matches. I think they struggle to sort of mentally recover from that. It's almost like, ish, well, the team lost because of me today. So hence I'm saying it's a mindset thing. It's also a mentality thing.
And because I think that is the case with South African bowlers, because when you look at someone like KG and like Anras and Lungingidi even, it's not the fact that they can't bowl the good deliveries. It's normally when we concede in the final overs, it's because of poorer deliveries. It's not necessarily because they executed the correct delivery and they got it to the boundary. Majority of the time, it's because they chose the wrong options. They didn't bowl maybe Yorkers. They rather opted for shorter deliveries or one of those type of things, and they get punished as a result of that. And I think that Lubabalo's right there when he says that the mindset can't necessarily be taught fully. There are certain techniques that they can give, that they can pass on, maybe to teach them how to get in the zone, maybe to teach them how to get focused, to cut out the noise. Because, I mean, look at the 2015 World Cup, that final over we all remember. I mean, it's not that Dale Steyn can't. There was something in the comments I saw earlier on Facebook. I saw some comments where someone said from 11 till 2014, Dale Steyn they'll pick. But then from then onwards, they'll pick someone else. So, like, it's not that I didn't see Dale Steyn capable of doing that. And it's not that he's not capable of doing that. It was just the fact that his mind wasn't maybe in the right frame of mind there, or he couldn't handle the pressure maybe in that moment. I don't know. He has to tell us that. But ultimately, I don't think it's because of his execution. It's not that we didn't have someone that had the ability to be able to do what we needed him to do then. It's just that the execution maybe was off and he got punished for it. Aditya, this is something that you can tell us, especially from an Indian perspective, because I think that's something that India has really worked on in the games. And I'm seeing a lot more Indian bowlers coming through at the IPL. You know, we can't compare IPL to international cricket. It's completely two different levels. But when it comes to domestic cricket, even with and the reason I say that, Aditya, maybe you will say that I'm talking crap here, but even though there's a lot of world-class players in the IPL, they're not facing the same amount of pressure that they're facing as if they were playing for their country. The pressure playing for your country is on a whole different level than when you know that if you lose for the IPL, the South African guys are not necessarily going to get as punished as the Indian guys will. The Indian guys take flack. For Indian players, the pressure is immense at IPL because of them being in India and having to deal with those cricket fans that are so passionate afterwards. South Africans can mess up, go home, and they'll be drafted next year again, unless they were completely terrible. But ultimately, they can make a mistake, go home, come back, and they'll still be regarded as a superstar in the tournament because they're not from India. They're not playing with the same type of pressure because it's not their tournament. But I have seen a massive difference in the way the bowlers, domestic bowlers, are bowling in the IPL. A lot of the players, even the guys that haven't made the Indian side, the way they've improved. So, what do you think is happening with regards to that? Who's coaching these guys? Because I don't think there's enough time in the IPL to be able to coach them how to bowl death deliveries and become good death bowlers.
First, I'll disagree with your initial statement because I think the pressure in the IPL is as much as international cricket, whether it's for an overseas player or whether it's an Indian player. And I'll tell you why. It's because franchise cricket generally is ruthless. See, an overseas player is competing for 4 spots in a team. And typically those 4 spots are generally given to players who have 2 skill sets to offer. And Quinton de Kock said, incredibly, in 2019, that he felt the same amount of pressure and drama at the end of the 2019 IPL final as he did at the end of the 2015 semi-final at the World Cup. So that's Quinton de Kock giving you an example of why the pressure is pretty comparable. The other thing is, again, you look at Quinton de Kock.
He probably felt the same pressure also when he walked into the when he walks into a press conference.
I agree with you. Look, Quinton de Kock has been a superstar in South African cricket and in world cricket for a long time, at least for the last 7 or 8 years. Yet in 2016, when he was playing for the RCB, he didn't play half the tournament. He was on the bench. So that tells you just how cutthroat franchise cricket can be. But to answer your question about death bowling, look, part of the challenge in finding an effective death bowler is that it's important to identify who can do it for you, who has the confidence to do it, who has produced results in the past, because I don't think there's a certain formula for death bowling. You look at some of the best death bowlers in the world right now, they're all different. What Mitchell Starc does for Australia is that he relies on fast in-swinging yorkers, and he can do it day in and day out. Jasprit Bumrah is a different bowler. He's got more variation. He can bowl the yorker, he can bowl a very effective slower ball, he can bowl wide yorkers, and he's got an awkward action, right? Then you look at Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who's also an excellent death bowler. He bowls in the mid 130s, so he's not even express pace, but he bowls an excellent slower ball. He bowls very good back of the hand cutter. He can bowl a yorker. So they're all different, and all of them produce results. What we saw in the West Indies series against South Africa, I think it was Obed McCoy. He was brilliant as well. So I think everyone has their own method, but what I guess the team management needs to do is find players who are willing to take on that responsibility and have the confidence to produce those results. Because I don't think you're going to find a player who can bowl express pace and has an effective slow ball and a bunch of other variations.
And I mean, I did speak to some guys about death bowling and what it takes, defending, depending on how much you're defending it, obviously the pressure will vary. But also having those fans in the crowd, you know that everybody's around watching. I think from that perspective, the IPL coaches youngsters for that type of pressure better than most tournaments can. And I think that you probably get the IPL is probably the closest domestic tournament that prepares you for international, can prepare you for international T20 cricket. I feel it's as close as it can get with regards to the IPL. I just don't personally. I just think that when you're bowling in international cricket and you're playing for your country, it's a whole different type of pressure than playing for a franchise. Personally, so yeah, but to the extent that I understand what Aditya is saying with regards to his comments about Quinton saying that the pressure is there and there's still same amount of pressure. I wonder if he still will feel that now because he was quite young in 2015. Rubabalo, anything you want to add to that?
I think a huge part of it is also dependent on the type of environment. I think if you look at the kind of cricket that that India plays and the kind of cricket that we play, our cricket, it's not easy for our bowlers to actually be that attacking when it comes to ODI cricket and white ball cricket in general because of the type of cricket that we play. I'm probably going to start sounding like a broken tape, but the brand of cricket you play also counts when it comes to the way you're bowling. Which it starts with the environment. If the environment that the bowler is growing up in is not an environment that backs the bowler to back his own strength and to back his own natural talent and the skill that they have, it's always going to be difficult for them to execute. I once made a comparison that if you look at most of our bowlers, when they come through into the national team, they come through as bowlers who can actually bowl good Yorkers. You look at Dale Steyn, you look at Morne Moko. They were very good Yorker bowlers, but then as time went on, the more they played for the national team, that sort of disappeared. They stopped bowling Yorkers. You look at KG, for instance, when he first came through, I remember his debut, I think he got like 6 wickets against Bangladesh. You look at the number of balls that were full and straight, the number of Yorkers that he bowled, and then you look at now the number of Yorkers that he bowls now, you ask yourself a question. Is it the type of coaching or do they just decide, well, even though the Yorker's been working for me, I'm going to stop bowling it? Because KG was even bowling Yorkers in Test cricket. One that comes from the top of my head is one that he bowled to David Malan. It was a really good Yorker. And I remember even when he won us that game in Australia, he was bowling Yorkers. But you look at how he's bowling now, and you wonder what happened. I don't know. Could we say maybe he decided, well, the Yorker's helping me get wickets, maybe I should just put it away? Or maybe it's the type of coaching, or maybe it's the type of cricket that we play. And the last thing that I have an issue with is us as fans. You watch UKG or you watch Lungi and Anna, you see them trying to bowl a slower ball, it goes for a wide ball, and then people go crazy. How are they going to perfect that skill if we don't support them? Just one bad slower ball that goes for a 6 and everyone goes crazy. Lungi used to bowl some really good slower balls. I don't see them anymore. I ask myself why. And I think it's because we as fans are always going crazy. Sometimes execution is not going to go well. Bowlers are going to go for runs. It happens. But now it's like we're expecting each and every ball to be a dot ball, which is close to impossible, especially when we talk about T20 cricket. And there's a difference between bowling in the nets to a batsman that you know and bowling in a match. You could be able to bowl to, for example, Queenie because you know him. You're bowling to him in the nets. That's okay. You know each other. But it's different bowling to another left-handed batsman on the pitch. So I think we as fans also need to leave that room for players to be brave enough to actually try new things, especially if they're trying them out in a bilateral series. I mean, it's not a World Cup. Let them learn. Let them try and learn the skills so that they can perfect them. Because if we don't want to see them bowling slower balls, for instance, against Ireland, then we shouldn't expect them to try bowling a slower ball against India.
Excellent points. And Werner, in this particular setup, I mean, looking forward when we're coming to finding our next death bowler to take the ball and actually execute it. We've seen KG take the penultimate over and also take the last over. We've seen Lungingiri do the same. We've seen Andrich Nokia do the same. We haven't seen Andrich Nokia yet actually take the death ball, the last over, I think, in the last couple of series that we watched him play. So maybe that's an option that we can maybe look at. We don't know how he will handle the pressure. Naturally, it will be your mind goes to KG because he's the seasoned professional and he's done it at IPL level as well. Who is your pick? And would you ever consider a spinner bowling the last over?
My pick would probably be KG, depending on the circumstances. A lot of times, the 19th over is the important one to bowl your best bowler. So he is a very good Yorker bowler, but he does go away from that plan a lot. I remember that over he bowled against Andre Russell, the super over. He went and he bowled 6 Yorkers and he won that game for Delhi. And that was perfect execution under extreme circumstances, because Andre Russell is probably the guy who's going to hit you the furthest if you miss your length. But he ran up and he bowled a few perfect Yorkers. He bowled him clean. So I'd love him to stick more to that game plan, but it does change dependent on what the ground's dimensions is, what kind of batsman it is. Because if it's a ground with a big boundary to the one side, you might go short balls or bowl it into the wicket, some slower balls, trying to get him to hit to the long boundary. That might be a better idea than going for Yorkers and missing it with a short straight boundary, for example. And then based on the batsman as well, some batsmen are a lot stronger off the front foot than they are off the back foot, so they might be batting deep in their crease or coming out of the crease to counter the Yorkers, and then maybe that short ball is a better option. So it does change depending on the batsman and the field. As far as bowling a spinner at the end, I guess it depends on who is bowling. I can see someone like Fortuyn coming in and bowling a last over because he's quite good with getting those Yorkers in as a bowler. Someone like Shamsi, I don't know. He could be good if let's say the pitch is spinning a lot. You could possibly try it at the end if they're struggling to get him away. But otherwise, I would probably stick to the pace bowlers, unless it's someone like Fortuyn who can bowl in the odd Yorker also.
And your captain also makes a massive difference over here. I mean, myself and Aditya spoke to Dion in the week, was AB's coach, and he explained the difference between AB de Villiers and Faf du Plessis. And my theory about AB was spot on when it comes to. He said that when AB took the captaincy, he had a piece of paper that he followed with the order of where the people must bowl in and what they must do in such a situation, what the lineup is. Whereas Faf kind of changed things according to what the situation was. And I think Temba is a similar type of captain as well, who seems to change things according to the players that he thinks needs to be in that particular position at the particular time. Especially the way he handles his bowlers, I think is excellent. I think Temba has been very good with regards to that. Aditya, what I want to ask you is, why is there a lapse in the way, in what we see from the bowlers bowling in the IPL and how they bowl in the IPL and between that and international cricket when we see KG and them bowl? Because the complaint from myself, even I think Lubabala would agree with me, is that we don't use those Yorkers often enough. We don't bowl those deliveries often enough. What we see in the IPL, like that super over that Werner is talking about, we want to see that from KG every game.
Another good example of that, while we're on it, is that awesome season Morne Moko had with Delhi in 2013, I think, or 2014, somewhere around there. He took like 25 wickets. He was bowling Yorkers consistently. And I was looking so forward to seeing that for South Africa, but it just like disappeared after the IPL, never to be seen again.
Yeah, and it confuses me because Shaw Langeville was one of the best Yorker bowlers that we've had in the past. So it confuses me to me, it can't be the instruction from the coach, unless it's Boucher's instruction. I don't know. What is your reasoning behind that, Aditya? And also, to add on to that, do you think that Abu Dhabi is going to be a type of wicket that need a lot of Yorkers bowled in that final over.
The sense I get is that with respect to the South African contingent specifically, the game plans that they're asked to execute in an IPL game tend to be significantly different from what they're asked to execute when they play for South Africa. And that perhaps is a product of team composition. The Delhi Capitals have a different bowling unit compared to South Africa. They're also playing on different wickets in the UAE or in India, where your game plans would be different compared to the way that KG or Andre Nokia would bowl in South Africa. To be honest, I don't have a specific answer to your question, because I think, I don't know, Ricky Ponting is probably a different coach to Mark Boucher. He probably wants to use KG and Andrick in a specific way, and Mark Boucher might think that they should be used differently. So it's very hard to tell whether that's coaching. In the UAE, that's clearly a length that works, because KG and Andrick were brilliant in the 2020 IPL, and they demonstrated how to execute those Yorkers on a consistent basis. And I have no doubt that they'd be employing that strategy this time around as well. Although it appears as if, because of the volume of cricket that has been played in the UAE, with the PSL having taken place there, the IPL, and then the World Cup. So I suppose the nature of the wickets might change a little bit, and spin might play a more significant role than it has previously. But in saying that, Yorkers always work, irrespective of the sort of wickets that you're playing on. And I really hope that KG and Nokia come to the party for the IPL as well as South Africa.
I'm glad you put that to bed. The fact that Yorkers always come, they always play a massive role in cricket. Yeah, so like, we've obviously spoken about Boucher on previous, when he got the job initially. There will be question marks about him always. Myself and Werner were speaking about Rassie Erasmus and how he took pressure off the Springboks by putting all the attention on him. It might be a different method to what we'll see from Mark Boucher. I think Mark Boucher is the type of guy that's open and honest, basically tells us the way things are. It comes across that's how he is in press conferences. But currently, I've heard a lot of discrepancies between the coaching staff and Boucher and the players. There's differences. There's between, for example, Charles Langeville, what he says in the presser, and then we hear Boucher speak, and then we hear the players speak, and it depends who's speaking. That depends on what we're going to hear. Do you agree with Aditya that, we just need to implement that Yorker strategy? It doesn't matter where we're bowling it. Yorkers always are going to be key in the death overs. Okay, I don't think he can hear us. I think he's having a little bit of problem with his connection. Can you hear us? Can you not hear us, Luba? Nope. He's gone. Roberta, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, no, I do agree. Yorkers still remain the best delivery can bowl, despite people learning to scoop also, because that's a more high risk approach, and you're always more likely to miss a scoop shot than you are to miss a short ball. That's why I get so frustrated when Rabada. I remember him bowling to AB this year in the IPL, and he was executing those Yorkers, and AB wasn't getting anywhere, and then he would run up in the last delivery of his over, he bowled a short ball, and AB would hit him for 6. It's like, why would you go away from what was working for you? And it's not like AB isn't really playing those scoop shots anymore. He's standing still, hitting straight, or pulling the ball. He's still exceptional, and he's still scoring quickly and all over the place, but he's not walking across and scooping the ball for like the last 2 years now. So that Yorker would still be a good option.
But it defies logic almost. When I think about this is a coaching problem across the board. Like, for example, South African rugby. For years, we've been dominating rugby with the way we play rugby. Dominate with your forwards, put yourself on the front foot, and then your backline can do what they need to do according to what they have available in their arsenal. Then we changed things around when Alistair Coetzee came in. He wanted to play this attacking, this New Zealand type of brand of rugby. And it didn't work to our favor, because then you need to teach your forwards how to have good hands that can move the ball around quickly as well. Your forwards also become part of your backline almost. So it's like a lot of skills you have to teach people at the international level. The reason it works for New Zealand is because they play that brand of rugby right through the systems. When it comes to school, when it comes to right through. South Africa don't. South Africa's rugby boys, they dominate with their forwards. It's just like at schoolboy rugby, it's at professional provincial rugby, it's like at university rugby. Generally speaking, it's always about that forward pack dominating your scrums, your rucks, your mauls, all of those type of things that you need to completely dominate. Your turnovers, quick turnovers, all of those type of things put you on the back. When you look at it from a football perspective, it's like the criticism that Pep Guardiola got. Throughout the season, he's played with a holding midfielder. And then in the most important game of Manchester City's history, in the final, when they are favourites, he decides to drop that defensive midfield and not play him. It's the craziest things like that coaches take risks at moments when you don't need to take risks. And it defies logic on why those decisions get made. Aditya, so the instructions, do you think they come from Boucher? Do you think those instructions get going down to the field and say, like, maybe you mustn't play with a York? Are they overthinking it?
You know, it's very hard to tell, because we don't have evidence to really get a sense of how the team works. But if I were to make an assessment of it, it would be that over time, players have relied so much on coaches and not developed their own game plans that perhaps it takes them longer to adapt. The other day when we were talking to Dion Portes, he told us that Abbott de Villiers figured out his game plan at the age of 26. He made his debut at the age of 20. So that gives you a sense of what that situation might be. And I feel like Abbott de Villiers is a brilliant player. You know, eventually he figured out a lot of stuff for himself. You know, he almost sort of conceived the 360-degree game. But what is it with other players? And I think that's a conversation that needs to be had. You know, that sure, they're getting input from coaches, but at an individual level, when the pressure is on, the game is on the line, how are they thinking about their cricket on the field? Are they able to adapt to their demands, or is there a fear of failure? Is there a fear of getting dropped if players don't execute well? So that's something that they need to talk about. Look, I know that in IPL teams, for example, you know, Chennai is a very stable setup. You know, Faf du Plessis is secure. He knows where he stands in that team, and he also knows that a couple of failures won't get him dropped. So he knows what his role is in that team, and he has the freedom to play the way he wants to. Similarly, KG and Andrik, you know, they're playing under Ricky Ponting and in a very supportive franchise. So they have that security. The question is whether that same sort of feeling exists in the Protea setup. Because if it doesn't, then the coaching staff needs to work on that and then equip players with the skills to really express themselves the way they deem fit.
So yeah, Werner, let's end this off with, what would you like to see from South Africa to improve our death bowling? I mean, do you think that the series against, or the tour against Sri Lanka is enough time to sort it out, or do you think we're okay right now the way we are set up? Because we've been defending quite low totals recently.
Yeah, we've been defending low totals, but not by our death bowling. It's mostly been through the middle orders, our spinners taking over, Shamsi and Linda combining well. getting enough wickets so that by the time the death overs come around, we have so much to defend they can't come close. So our death bowling has almost always been a problem, but it's not for a lack of skill. Both, especially Rabada and Nortje, they are very good at bowling Yorkers. Nortje has really worked on that back of the hand slower ball. It's been coming out nicely. So it's not that they don't have the skills. It's just they have to have a clear game plan about what they want to do at the end. Should they be just going for Yorkers? Should they be mixing it up with slower balls? But yeah, so it's just a clear game plan. It's not for a lack of the ability, because we know what they can do. We've seen it before. And like Luba said earlier, there's some games that we do it perfectly. There's some games that Rabada comes in, he bowls Yorkers, or Kia comes in, he eats the stumps, no problem. And then we go 2 or 3 games where we're like wondering, where did the death bowling go? Like Lungi would bowl great slower balls into the wicket that people are struggling to get it away, and then the next game he's bowling it all over the place. So yeah, it's not for the lack of skill, but it's a clear game plan and then executing on the day. So I'm fine with a bowler going for the Yorker and then missing it low full toss. That's fine, because low full tosses can also be hard to get away sometimes. But as long as you have a clear game plan, you say, okay, I'm going to bowl Yorkers, so I make sure my field is I have a long on and long off out. I can't. That's the other thing that really frustrates me. When they say, okay, no, I'm going to go full, but then the long off is in the ring, it's middle. And I'm like, why? Why would you be going full and then bringing those fielders out and then just keep chipping it over? So it's a combination of a clear game plan with the fielders at the right place. So I'm fine if they're going for a Yorker, getting a low full toss, but they have the fielders back on the fence who can defend.
Yeah, it's about intent. You're right. I want to see that intent, because 160, 170 is not enough against teams like India, England, even in West Indies in a World Cup situation. I think they have a different mindset when it comes to World Cups. Against Pakistan as well. I mean, I'm against the top teams. I'm not happy with the way things are going right now. I think we need to tighten that up, and we have to bowl with intent. I don't think South African fans would have an issue if we saw that from our bowlers. They were trying to do the right thing. Like if you're bowling, trying to go a wide Yorker, and it goes for wide, I mean, at least we know it's a wide. You actually tried to implement it, but then don't go back on your strategy. Try it again. Like do it again, but just pull it in a little bit. And then they try to revert to that default, which is that short deliveries. If you can't bowl a slower short delivery, then rather don't bowl a short delivery, because if a batsman's eye is in, they're going to smack you to the boundary. That's just how it's going to be. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on. Thanks a lot, Werner, for coming on the show as well. And Luba Balu, thanks for making an appearance. I hope you can stay a little longer with us next time. But we got enough insight from you today. We got some excellent insight from you today. But thank you for tuning in. Guys, thanks for all the support that you've given us into a new month. Let's get that subscribers up to 3,000. That's the next major milestone for us. So please get that 3,000 mark for us and share it with all your friends and family. We even made a nice subscribe button there for you. Click the notification bell with all future videos as well. There's a red button. If there's a red button at the bottom of the screen and you're watching our videos are not on, guys, you must then leave the channel. You need to click that red button, please. And also smash the like button. Share it with all your friends and family too. We would like all the support that you can. Share this video on WhatsApp. Let's get the conversation going. Who would you like to see in death bowlers? Also, comment in the comment section below and let us know if you had 12 runs in the last six balls of the game, who would you like to defend your life with it? It can be anybody from the past, present, or future. Someone that you believe can become that in the future. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care, everybody, and enjoy your week.